everyone, and welcome to another episode of Wired for Wonder. My name is Lori Kirkland, and we are here on this podcast to talk with leaders who are thinking about the future and are trying to consider how do we bring humans along the change as technology is speeding so much things up. I am really excited today to have Alan Rudolph with us. He is a very experienced PE-backed leader, CEO, COO. This guy has been in software and transitions for many years, really great at organizational transformation and customer success. And welcome to the show, Alan.
Thanks, Lori. Great to be here. I am super excited to talk about the change that we're all going through, and we'll probably have some debates about what's right, what's not right. I spend my life in PE-backed enterprise software companies such as Sendyne in the hospitality industry, a company such as Mitratech in the legal tech and revenue risk and compliance space, and a company called Aptus, now Conga, in the revenue management lifecycle space over the past 8 years. And at the end of the day, just a quick takeaway for everybody in terms of who Alan Rudolph is. It's most important for me to understand the intersection of the customers of these companies and our employees. And so how do we understand who our customers are? How do we make our customers satisfied at the end of the day? Because we want them to be long-term satisfied customers. And how do we intersect that then with our employees who need to deliver on a great quality of service?
Oh, I love that. I mean, at DeepHumanX, we are, of course, human-centered first, always starting with the people, because at the end of the day, in all the change, it's really the people that are going to stay consistent. But you brought up something really interesting, the intersection of customer and technology, but then also you have spent a lot of time in PE firms. So I'm going to totally just give you my background of, I think of PE firms like very robotic, like they're going to just move everything faster, right? Are you seeing, or have you seen, especially with the release of like ChatGPT and the wide access to LLMs, have you seen a shift in how organizations, or how specifically PE companies, are actually addressing the customer and technology interaction since there's so much change?
The answer I'm going to say is no, because we've been doing it for a long time. So, and the reason I said no is because it's not different, right? As a PE-backed operator, right? In a enterprise SaaS company, we need to understand what changes are coming down at a macro level that impact us, that allow us to do what we do and how we do it better. So typically I'm brought into companies that are slightly broke or have something that's not optimized. And it's really important that we focus on the business transformation, i.e., how do we grow revenue? How do we grow earnings? But how do we make the company overall better? And what do I mean by better? We want to provide a phenomenal working experience for our folks, for our people, for our teams. We want to deliver great quality of product and service to our customers. And we want that intersection between the two, which I'll talk a lot about. It's so critical that we optimize that intersection. How those handshakes, handoff, transitions of information between customer and the company and the employee, make sure those aspects of what we do and how we do it are optimized.
That is it, right? I feel like all we want as customers of anything is we're like, can we just like move? Can we just, I'm just trying to complete a purchase here. I don't need to learn your 10,000 processes in order to like move to the next step. In full disclosure, I spent 45 minutes on a call this morning with a company that I'm like, I get your process. You're still not answering my question. So I love that you're really thinking from the customer success side. And you're also highlighting, right, what like maybe in the PE space, you've really seen things move faster than other organizations. But the truth is right, AI is kind of speeding it up for everyone, and it's causing some leadership changes, right? Like all of a sudden it used to be like, we have a plan, standardized processes, let's go. Yes, you need standardization. All of a sudden you're not, the predictiveness of what we were going isn't as defined as it once was. How do you see that reflected in maybe the leadership teams you've worked with, or or, what you see as an opportunity for leaders looking at the future of work? Like, what do you see there as a way for leaders to start thinking about how can I actually lead differently in the future?
It's fascinating, Lori, because if I think back 3 years or so ago, plus or minus,
Hmm.
and we started hearing all about AI and ChatGPT and now all the other, competitors to ChatGPT. I think 3 years ago, plus or minus, there was this, oh, I don't need to do this yet, or let's see what develops, or, I just don't know, or I don't understand what it is, or how do you leverage it. And then fast forward that clock, and holy cow, as we exit 25 into 26, if we haven't figured out how to leverage AI in our business models today, I would say we're out of business. And it's plain and simple, because there are absolutely opportunities to better leverage technology to make our companies, all the companies we live in today. And again, I'm particular to enterprise SaaS, but it's an opportunity for us to do better, right? Whether it's building product, marketing that product, selling that product, delivering value to our customers. There is an opportunity in each aspect of our business to leverage AI, to leverage the technology and make it better. That doesn't mean it's any different than what we did, 20 years ago with new technology as it came along. I think the difference we all see today as leaders of these companies is it's a step function, right? And this is a big step we're taking, because the improvements that we see are absolutely dramatic in terms of what, again, whether it's a chat GPT, the LLMs, and or a given business solution that has AI embedded in it, the opportunity to take that huge step and to do that much better in terms of the value we deliver to our customers is in fact dramatic. And so as leaders, we need to embrace that change. We need to be ready for that change. We need to accept that change, and then we need to execute on that change. And there's just a huge opportunity. We're using it. All the companies I've been with, most recently, all the other my peers, the leaders that I talk to, the companies that are embracing the change are going to be that much further ahead of the companies that are not. So as a leader, coming back to your question, as a leader, you need to embrace that change. You need to figure out how best to leverage that change that we can implement as a result of AI and deliver that much better of a service, of a solution, of a product to our customers tomorrow.
I love that. And a plug for DeepHumanX. If you need help with that change and changing teams,
Yep.
hey, that is what we do. But I think you really honed in on something that is, I get up every day. Been doing all year a big executive research project where a team of us are talking to leaders from every industry. And there are some patterns that are forming. And one of them is that, hey, you all of a sudden are managing people that some are going really far ahead and have way
Yep.
embraced the change and are like way out here. And then you have others who are, for right reasons, still fear-based and are doing them, they've gotten on chat GPT, but they haven't really like implemented it. What do you see the connection between a company and a leader understanding the company's values and the ability to embrace that change you were talking about?
I'm going to say one thing as a leader:
Okay.
be transparent. It's important that we tell our teams what we're doing, how we're doing it, what the journey is, what the project plan is, what our expected results are. In fact, I'll just in a chat this morning on LinkedIn with a CEO founder of a venture backed company in the hospitality industry. And we were going back and forth and talking about expected results, or the business benefits derived from implementing AI, which again,
Mm-hmm.
I come back to, it's no different than implementing any other technology. Yes, that step function is dramatic, right? We're going to take a big leap. But at the end of the day, be transparent with your employees. Make sure they understand what we're going to do and how we're going to do it as we leverage this new technology. Train your employees, right? Don't expect they know what to do or how to do it, right? Train
Yeah.
them the way you want them trained. That's what's most important, because everybody thinks, oh, I go to ChatGPT, or I go to Claude, I go to Perplexity, I go to whatever, and it has the answers.
Yes. Well, and
It's
it's
more,
interesting.
it is way more complex than it just has the answers. I've been trying to spend about an hour a week learning all the capabilities, all the functions of these new AI tools. And they are
Yeah,
dramatic in terms of what they can do for us. But you got to learn. Otherwise, what buttons
you
do I
do.
hit? What data do I upload? Do I upload that file? Do I create a project? How do I truly leverage these tools?
And I love to tie it back to what you said about being transparent is that this is the first time, at least in my career or my lifetime, right, where the expectation of leaders isn't actually to know the answer. It is to be more of like a harbor master of you're saying, hey, here's what's really important right now. This is what the organization needs to be looking at.
Yep,
Let's train the people on that, or put your focus on learning this. That is a much different way of leading, especially from the business side. Like you said, I don't think the tech, it's the same machine learning since probably 2015. If you've been
yep,
in technology, great, you get it. If you haven't been in technology over the last 20 years, don't worry. You don't actually have to know how it works anymore. But what is being required is that leaders are understanding that they have to actually ask bigger questions. In
correct.
part of that leadership is literally saying, I don't know, but here's a big puzzle I'm trying to solve right now. Does anybody
Hmm.
have any tips to help us navigate this? Because we
Right,
haven't done this
right.
change. And that's a pretty big leadership shift, right? So when you talk with other CEOs or you think back in your, to what has really stood out for you, how have you experienced that in your own past career where you've had to kind of go through your own transformation of like, hey, I'm leading different.
Comes back to what I was just talking about. It's learning myself, right? If I'm going
Mhm.
to guide somebody down a path, right, and expect somebody to do X, Y, and Z, I better know what that means, right? I better have tried it myself. I've done it myself. You know, I lead enterprise SaaS companies. Don't ask me to write a line of code today. 30 years ago, I could write code, right? I don't know how, or I could learn, right? But that's not my job today to write code. So it's really about empowering people, being transparent with people, making sure they learn about the journey we're about to embark on, and then guiding them through that process, making them understand what the end game is. And I'm going to throw something out there that I think is very relevant to this discussion is, again, in the context of enterprise SaaS companies, it's all about growth. And
Mhm.
so how do we do more with less as we grow? Not how do we just eliminate work or how do we eliminate people, right? The
Yes.
opportunity here is to be able to grow, but not necessarily add a lot of people. And again, it's important that we explain to our teams what we're doing and how we're doing it. Otherwise, people think, oh, you're just going to fire me, right? And
Right.
that's not right. And that's not the intent. The intent is to provide that better service, a better capability, leveraging technology so we can in fact grow, but our costs don't grow at the same level as our revenue growth is. And
And
that's
I
again, it's that transparent dialogue with our teams, right? Think about some of the words I've been using: transparency, empowering people to learn on their own, give them the path, but then go learn, leverage what they've learned, drive better value to our customers.
I love that. And as a very human centric optimist in this world, I completely agree with you, right? Like in a time of change, and you can just put like, think of it like a fraction, change over you, right?
Yep.
All the change in the world can happen, and it's actually the humans that are staying the same. So by your doing what you yourself said is honing in and learning about yourself and doing it
Yep.
yourself, right? Like we're no longer in a society where the boss doesn't have to do anything, right? Or I don't know if anyone ever had that life. I never did. But you know what I'm saying? It's really
Yep.
like, no, this change is like everybody is changing it. And the fastest way to see the new rhythms and patterns that are emerging is really by looking at yourself and giving yourself a place to anchor. Like, oh, wait a minute,
Hmm.
what am I really good at? And
Right.
that's where you can spend more time. Like you talked about teams. I feel like some of the use cases in 2025 have disappointed me with AI. And it's because people are putting in things, we all want revenue, productivity, and efficiency. Like that's the
Sure.
baseline. That's just the
Yep.
baseline. Like you don't have a business if you're not keeping an eye on those. But the people who are only looking at those are the ones who are spending a lot of money and burning out their employees and not getting the results that AI promised. On the other hand, there are other organizations that are really looking at, hey, wait a minute, how do I start to strip away some of the mundane and administrative tasks?
Sure.
And it doesn't matter what they are, it's for individuals, like teaching those people to learn to say, hey, if you're going to use ChatGPT, learn it, or chat any of the LLMs. If you're going to do it, practice on getting, how can you get rid of some of the tasks that you hate, right?
Right.
Starting there. So you're actually giving guidance and encouraging individuals to also figure out, wait a minute, what skills am I really good at? Because at the end of those use cases, the difference between the two is one is trying to save money, which is great because everybody wants to save money and cut people, but the success isn't there because what they're doing
Right.
is they're leaving the people out of the actual change.
Right.
So you're like actually just building at a faster speed, more dysfunction. Whereas the companies that are like, hey, we're on this journey along, you're seeing companies that are, like I've seen in the last month, I've seen 3 different companies that are creating wearables that can get us away from the screens, right? Like that's what this technology could do, right? Like, could you imagine just being able to go for a walk in nature all the time? And you and I record a podcast where I'm walking in the mountains rather than having to sit at my desk,
I
right?
haven't
Like,
figured out how to do that yet, though, with the glasses and not trip and break my nose or fall down the hill.
I mean, that's what I'm saying is the tech's not there yet,
Right.
but
Right.
it is cool that we're seeing, and I don't mean wearable, I mean, it's literally like reading brainwaves and writing emails from that, right? Like that in it. Yes, it's still a little ways off, but it's pretty cool that 3 companies in the last month are doing that.
I mean, to your point about the technology, self-driving cars. I mean, who would
Mhm.
have thought? Go back, 20 years ago, and here we are. That there are self-driving cars, and it is
All over.
dramatic. Again, this comes back to the human side of things, Lori, which is we need to embrace change. We need to understand change. One of the other things that we spend our time on as a leadership team in these companies is thinking about the guardrails, right? So we're embracing change. We're embracing AI. We're using different tools, right? Well, what are the appropriate guardrails from a risk, from a compliance standpoint that we need to put in place? Because at the end of the day, it's our responsibility as executive leaders to manage and protect the company, right?
Mhm.
And we have investors that expect a return on their investment. So as we embrace this new technology, we need the appropriate guardrails in place. We need the advice of counsel so that we, operate within the guidelines. And then most importantly, as we think about the global aspect of this, how do we do this if we're in country A, country B, country C? Right? If we're
Yeah.
operating in 20, 30 different countries, we're going to market, we're working with customers, but we're working under different laws and regulations. So on the one hand, we need the overall guidelines for the company as to how we're going to operate. Again, the guardrails that I talked about, but then we need to think through what does that mean if I'm in the US, if I'm in Europe, I'm in Asia, very different laws as well
Mhm.
as cultural expectations, right?
Well,
It's
and
it's the laws of the
hopefully
land and the local culture that we need to make sure we address as we roll out this technology.
and those are like great things to say. Hopefully, the general councils are all using AI to look at to take the guardrails that leadership is
Yep.
providing and using them to really speed up that time. What used to take you years to enter a new market, I'm guessing is going to really, we're going to start seeing that be shortened, not because of maybe the
Correct.
cultural stuff quite yet, but definitely because of the legal. But you
Yep.
mentioned something about the guardrails. And I think that this is a really hot topic for people, right? Like kind of everyone's afraid of the risk of it, right? We all have our risk adverse. We would prefer if it was all just laid out very clearly and directly. And the problem is that we are now building a world to not a predictable product at the end. We're building a world that is to an unknown destination. So how have you seen leaders or how have you helped leaders? How do you help leaders shift in the guardrail conversations? Because what used to have been for something a little more predictable, right? Those same guardrails aren't there when it's a system that's moving and growing and changing every week.
The easiest way to address the question is that the guardrails need to be flexible. So we need, because we spent a lot of time talking about this at the leadership team levels, and we need to think through how firm are the guardrails, using that term, and then how much flexibility do I build in? Again, the very simple, start with the guardrail of which tools am I yet allowed to use, right? And so, because we know not only there are a number of different AI tools available today, there are AI capabilities within many different business applications, and then multiply that out across the globe, and it's exponentially more. So there's many, many different ways that I can leverage AI in business today. And again, there are some aspects, again, coming back to from a legal standpoint, where the guardrails are 100% firm. These are the tools you can use, no more, no less. There are other areas where the guardrails do, in fact, need to be flexible if things are changing in a given country.
Do you have an example of a guardrail? Like, just give me like one that you're like, oh, this is one that is fixed but high enough so that it can remain flexible.
Well, which tools? The fixed one is the tool, right? Am I allowed to use, pick your favorite flavor of AI tool? Does that meet our requirements? Does both business, legal, risk, etc. Or because there are so many tools, no, we're only going to pick two. You can use one of the following two, right? Or we're in a given area of the business. Let's take technical support, or let's take development. There are specific business applications we use there that have the AI tools built into them. And then you have to use that AI tool. So that's where you need guardrails at a global level within an enterprise, but then you need to make sure that within each given business area that you're acknowledging the tools that are available to you in that area, and you only use those tools that drive the greatest value and or that are approved by the business.
So part of that flexibility would actually be then empowering different leaders to also bring to the table, maybe not at the executive team level. The executive team is meant to be flexible, but you're actually then really empowering the individual division leaders to start actually working together and start seeing, hey, marketing wants to use this tool, or product management wants to use this tool, and starting to also look horizontally so you can see how you're letting people contribute and at the same time still remaining fixed across the organization.
And one of the ways to manage through that journey, manage through that process, is to create a steering committee that looks at what is going on across the organization, that actually owns the keys to the kingdom, so to speak. So that committee, made up of probably some executives as well as some folks underneath the executive team, that committee then says yay or nay to all the various tools. Because at the end of the day, we all know what happens if we let, the keys to the kingdom loose, right? If we let the children loose in the asylum.
Well, it's both ways right now. It's whether it's too fixed and you're not letting enough people enter the kingdom because you're so fixed, right? And it's only a handful of people that, I feel like I watch this in big organizations all the time where that too fixed is actually creating so much more inefficiency and burnout but then you also don't want to let it be anyone. So, okay. So you're really, and that's what we're seeing anyways with the patterns of AI is teams of innovation that are practicing the look, end of cycle before you start something new, a team that is really like, I don't know, kind of almost like the tiger team that's like going and really jumping ahead.
Correct.
Okay, so for my final question for you, because you have given me so much insight, and I think the audience as well, what
Excellent.
are 3 human skills that you would advise leaders to really be working on to set themselves up to be successful in the future?
I'm going to start with a very basic. We have 2 of these and 1 of these. So listen. Listen to your teams. Listen to your people. Listen to your customers. Number 1, listen. Number 2, empathy. As you're
Mm.
listening, making sure you're understanding the pain points, making sure you're listening to their concerns, making sure that you just are cognizant and appreciative of embracing this new technology and accepting change. But again, so listen, number 1, listen, empathy, number 2.
I'm going to be
Lastly,
doing this all day today now, just
right.
so you know. Listen, Lori.
Last, just be transparent. Good leaders are transparent. We always know there are certain things as leaders, as executives in any company of any size and scale that I can't share, but call it the 98-2 rule, the 95-5 rule. Most of what's going on in the organization can in fact be shared.
Yeah.
Again, when I sit within my box of enterprise software, there, you know, lots of engineers, lots of really, really smart people.
Hmm.
Explain it. Just make sure people understand where we're going, what we're doing, how we're doing it. And so I just really think I err on the side of transparency, and I've just been wildly successful the more transparent I am with my employees, with my teams.
I love that. And you get to learn along the way. So it's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, Alan, such good advice. I really appreciate you coming and sharing with the audience. So thank you for coming on the show. And if our audience wanted to connect with you, where is a good place for us to send them?
I always say LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is, out there. And so I assume Lori will get my LinkedIn email out there. You can always reach me via email, Alan D as in David, Alan D Rudolph at gmail.com. And I look forward to hearing from all of you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you.